Well, hello there, and welcome to Tutorials with Tim. My name's Tim, and what I'm going to do for you today is give you a startup tutorial, a very basic, simple, straightforward how to start up in Xplanes 11. The view that we're looking at right now is the startup view, where cold and everything's off. The reason why I want to do these tutorials is take a look on the outside here while I'm talking. The reason why I wanted to do these tutorials was for myself. I come from FSX, and I think a majority of people that will eventually be making the switch to Xplanes 11 will also come from FSX. And we never really had the luxury of a lot of the bells and whistles that Xplanes 11 gives you, with the detail, the accuracy. So those are things that do take some time to acquire. And when I downloaded this, when I bought this game, what I found, obviously I didn't know really a lot, and I had to look on videos, tutorials, how to, and I found some great tutorials, great videos, and you guys are doing great with those videos. However, it seemed like the majority of those videos were coming from people who come from the Xplanes franchise background, which is great. It's great. However, most of the videos were just so fast, so straight, and like quick, and you overlooked, in my opinion, a lot of the necessities that someone who's learning from scratch need to be able to do it, for to remember it, to muscle memory, I guess, type thing. So my tutorial series is going to be the basically Xplanes 11 for dummies. Straightforward, simple, quick and easy, how to. So without further ado, let's get back into the cockpit. So to get into the cockpit, you'll start there, but to get out to the view that we're in right now, all I did was hit Shift 4, and Shift 4 will take you to the outside view. Shift 9 will get you back in that cockpit. So once you're in the cockpit, if you right click, hold the mouse button down, you can move the mouse and it'll take you to a bunch of, wherever you want to look. And you can look all over the plane. Just hold that mouse button down, you can look everywhere and you'll see all these switches. But as you can see here, you can't really read anything. You don't know what anything says, what it does, because it's dark, obviously. So what we want to do is go up here to View, and you can click Aviation Flashlight. If you click that, then a little red light will come up, and you'll see everything with the labels and everything else. Now, this ground power available, this is obviously step 1 if you're at the gate. And if there's power available, then you can turn that on, and then you'll see all your lights come on. But don't get rid of the flashlight just yet, because as you see, it's still dark. You still can't see much of anything. So what we want to do here, okay, is we need a better view of this so we can see it straight. So we'll clear that out real fast. So on the arrow pad, you can move left and right, up and down. So kind of just get a centered, view of looking at the cockpit here. And then what you'll want to do is hold the comma button down, and that kind of zooms out. So as it zooms out, obviously you can start seeing a lot of things come into view. And then you can hold the down button and you'll go down, and then just right click and start working your way up. Now just play with that a little bit, zoom out more, but get a better view of things that you need to see for your top instrument panel. So you'll zoom out more, and that's a pretty good view right here. So get it centered, whatever you want to play with it. Once you get that center, or that view here, then what you can do to save this view, so you don't have to go through all that anymore, hold Control and hit whatever number on the number pad you want. So like I just hit number 1, so that's going to be my number 1 view, because in the startup procedure you start from 1 and work your way up to whatever. So then when you get in, so this is how you start from now on. This always is going to be the view, the aircraft. Then you can just hit the 1 button, number 1, and it takes you immediately over here, and you can just see everything that you need to see. So we need some lighting, obviously, and you'll see up here, dome white. just turn that on, and now you have some lights. So now you can get rid of that flashlight. So we're still on ground power. So what we want to do is we want to go over here and we want to turn this to battery, and then let's turn this knob over to APU generator. There's really nothing going on right now, and if we leave this sit here, you know, if we turn that off, obviously we have no power because the batteries are not on. So let's turn the battery on, and you'll see we're actually not generating anything, obviously, which is normal. We don't need standby. I've seen other tutorials that don't need to worry about standby power. We have power. So what we want to do after that is obviously come down here and start the APU, and you'll start to hear that whine out. An APU, for those that don't know, which I think anyone watching this video is going to know, is the auxiliary power unit. That's what creates the power. It's like the alternator in your car, basically, until the engines start going, and then those obviously take over from or that's like the starter in your car. But it creates electricity as well. So once that light comes on, just like the light that was on the ground power, meaning that there's a source of power there, and yes, we want to generate that source. Now you'll see here, now we're generating power into the whole overall system, which is great. So you can actually turn off the ground power. You don't need it anymore. Once we have that, the APU is started. Let's go over here and turn the fuel on. So we got our fuel pumps turned on. We got our hydraulic pumps are turned on. Our electricals turned on. If it's cold, obviously, use anti-ice as needed. Same with the probe heats. Use it as needed. You can turn them on. That's fine. It's not going to hurt anything to turn them on. And then if you need window heat, you know, so you can turn that on, but it's not a huge necessity. So next step, come over here and turn the APU bleed switch on, and you'll see this indicator right here fill up with some pressure. Now that's your duct pressure. That's how much pressure is coming from the APUs generating in the lines that are actually going to be blowing on the turbines to get them to spin to start up. Once that's done, then we can go ahead and just, you can either right click down and, you know, mess with the arrows and the zooming in and out, because you'll need a view. I already have a view of it, which is I've saved as another view. So just get a view of your throttle quadrant right here, because this is essential. And then you can, it's an easy transition from where you actually have to see things, which is going to be just right here. The engine start functions right here. So what we want to do is we want to obviously start the engines now. Just click over to ground, and you'll start to hear a whine up, and then you just come back down here and you'll start to see your N2, which is the actual crankshaft of, or the shaft of the, once it gets to about 9 or so, 10, go ahead and click that up to idle. And what that's going to do is going to start allowing the fuel to flow through, and it will ignite, and then you'll get some pressure in the engine number 1, and it'll be started. And generally, obviously you can now start to hear it coming to life, but it'll start to register some oil pressure here in about a couple seconds. And once it does, there it goes, then you know that that engine is done. And go back over here, same thing with engine number 2, ground. Let it get to about 9 or so, N1 or N2, and then go ahead and click it up to idle. And we should be getting some oil pressure here. There it goes. Alright, so that is that as far as the engines are started. So what we want to do here is kind of more of a finishing the startup process, but also a couple secondary notes is here. Once we have that, you'll see that the generators, these are now generating power. So let's turn these generators on, and let's turn the APU generators off. And as you'll see here, we stopped obviously creating and generating the with power on this side over here for the AC. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and turn the AC to one of the generators. So now we're creating the AC current or volts that we need. And then you can go ahead and come down here and just shut off a better view of it. And just shut off your actual APU itself, and you'll hear it power down. So the APU is no longer needed at this point. Now, once you shut the APU down, come over here and you'll see the pressure in this and your ducts are completely down to 0. Close the bleed valve for the APU, and you want to open the bleed valves for engine 1 and engine 2. Now what this is, and this is kind of that secondary note, Xplanes 11 is very, very realistic in the simulator. So there are bird strikes, there are, engine failures, there are those things that do happen. About it is the same amount of time in real life. Not much, but it can happen. If these were off, okay, and there's a reason why your engine start knobs go back to auto. They will auto refire if they do stall. They will not ignite if these are not on, because that needs something to create the pressure or the air to spin it. So you always have to keep those on and fly with those on. And that pretty much, and then your yaw damper, turn your yaw damper on. And then at this point, it's up to you. If you want to leave this light on, or you can dim it. That's really up to you. If you go back to your main view here, I'll show you. If you scroll down here, just left click right there on your steering console. If you just left click on there, it'll remove that. So let's get some lighting here. So we got some flood lighting going on back here, and that's going to be your lower column here. And then this one right here is going to be your AFDS, which is going to be all of your autopilots and your flight directors and all that stuff up here. So now you have ample lighting, and you can see, and you don't really need that on, but it's to each his own. Just depends on how you want to fly at night. And then just make sure all of your lights are on your aircraft. These switches right here. Seatbelts on. And that is it for the startup. There's not much more to the actual startup process. As you see, all your lights are on here, and you're good to go. Your engines are running. You got power, hydraulic power. Everything's working. That's it. So that's pretty much how to start it up. You can create your own way. To each his own. Obviously, whatever's quicker, easier for you, that's what you're going to choose, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's pretty much going to do it for this tutorial video here. If you like this video, please subscribe. Please thumbs up, thumbs down if you didn't. If you have any questions, comment. If you want to see some other videos, comment, let me know, and we'll make some other videos. I am going to do another video here soon on the actual FMS of that video, or in the cockpit itself. I had to cut the video short because I messed it up, but thank you, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon with some other videos. Have a good one.